Hello there and welcome back. Today I wanna talk about this combination that seems made in heaven, like a lot of combination I told before. It's the Machinedrum from Elektron sequenced by the Torso T1. So Torso is an Euclidean sequencer. The only things that you might say the Machinedrum doesn't have as cool as the new Elektron machine is the sequencer is a little limited. It's a machine that is several years old, more than 10, almost 20, I don't really remember. And I think that using an external sequencer really make it shine. So I actually love it sequenced by the analog rhythm. And I'm working on a setup in which the out of the Machinedrum goes in the in of the analog rhythm, and that is pretty cool. But also I find out that setting up these two things together yield very, very cool result. It takes a little while to figure it out, and we will go through the setup. Also, a lot of people is asking me how the T1 works. Is a very interesting sequencer. There's some video I did before. I never did a video about the rhythmic possibility of it. And yeah, today we'll go through that. Before going on, some way in which you can support me, and you can become a subscriber of this page. Free and easy. You can become a Patreon subscriber. That's the best way to support me. And then there is the link down below. You can buy stuff. I will get a small percentage, and for you, it's going to be the same exact amount of money. So easy too, right? All right. So let's dig into what's happening here. First, let's talk very briefly about the T1. T1 actually now has the new firmware that had also CC capability, but that's for another video. It's a 16-track sequencer. All of these buttons here are different tracks. Each tracks can sequence a different MIDI, and it's an Euclidean sequencer, mean that you had steps and they will be evenly spaced in the amount of steps you decide per pattern. So again, there's a video, go check that, and you know everything. The Machinedrum is one of the first Elektron boxes that I ever bought back in the early 2000. Then I sold it, and then at the moment lately I had two. I had the non-UV, UW, mean that is not user wave. This one is user wave and use sample, so it's a little more complex. It has a resampling facility in it that kinda was the precursor of the Octatrack, so it's very kinda quirky and limited in that, but for glitchy kind of stuff, it's amazing. And the engine, the sound engine, is pretty interesting. Today we won't go doing much sound. I prepare one kit that I completely do from scratch. I usually like to clean everything, wipe it out, and then create my kit. There's many different machine that you can load on it, like something that resemble a TR 808 or 909, something that resemble FM or sample-based drum. And so just to give you an idea, this is how it sounds the kit that I'm using now. And from here to there, here I have a control all machine that control basically everything that would happen, and the last four tracks are internal resampler that we won't check today. So you can use the internal sequencer. The internal sequencer is a 64-step sequencer maximum. You cannot select different length per track. That's the main sad part about the Machinedrum. If only we could add that, it could be amazing. This machine has the unofficial firmware, the X firmware, that add a lot of more functionality. But still, setting up the sequencer is not as immediate and simple and fun as the other Elektron boxes. So I decided, let's use the T1. Let's play and I'll show what's happening here. So, as you can see, I have right now these 4, 5, 6 tracks going on. And I decided to set up all the track following the succession here. So track 1 on the T1 will trigger track 1 on the Machinedrum. That is in this case is labeled bass drum. It can be whatever you want, and then snare drum or whatever. So let me mute everything. For example, this is just now triggering the bass drum. You can see here. Whenever you start a new pattern, you will have a situation like this with no steps, and you can push pulses and add pulses on it. For example, now it's 4 on the 4. And as more as you turn, it will add 1 step, and it will divide in the 16th step you decide. This is pretty cool because you can create tracks, rhythm. In this case, it's just rhythm, but the other video was showing the melodic part, so it's pretty easy to just get going with something fun. When you want to unmute, as long as you push the mute button, nothing will happen. When you release, the other things will come in. So, I'd say let's start a completely new scene. So I will show you how to set up the two things together. So first things I did, I set up the on function. You press function and global, and here you have to select the MIDI. Now I did that here, and so I select channel 9 to 12. It's a very weird way on how the MIDI is set up in this machine. It's kind of old school. So anyway, you can select in block of channel in which the machine will react. So I select channel 9 to 12, and I show why. So let's start a new pattern. Whenever you load your pattern, load a new one, and now I can play. There's nothing happening. So first things, I have to set up the MIDI channel of the T1. To do that, you can press channel, and then 1 to 16 would be 9. If you want to select all the track at the same time, you always just remember to press pattern, and that means that every whatever things you do, it will be applied to the entire tracks of this pattern. So press this, channel 9. Now all of my tracks will send messages to track 9. That's the first thing. What I had to realize after that the Machinedrum react not for each single sound or track, doesn't react to MIDI channel but to note. So each one of these channel here react to one note. You can set up that in your global menu. I kept as is. So for example, I know that the bass drum react to C00. To do that, then I have to select the pitch on the T1. Seems complicated, but it is. Anyway, so I want this to be my bass drum. So I already selected the channel 9. Now I have to select the pitch because I know that would trigger the machine drum. So what happened is the regular, you have C, I think C02, the middle octave. So you remove that, you go 2 octaves down, and this would be C00. And now every time a trigger is set on this track, it will be sent to bass drum. So now it should work. Let's hope. Let's put, I will start rotating the pulses knob, and here we are. I can add 4 on the floor. Let's see it work. And it does. So the first time you have to kind of create a sort of template, and you can do it without adding any pulse, then save the bank and save the partners, save the pattern, and then every time you will have everything ready. I'm just doing that from scratch to let you understand that this can be applied to many other drum machine or other synth. So let's add track 2. It's already on channel 9 because we did that, and I know that the snare drum is D0. So again, I go on pitch, I remove this one, and go 2 lower octave, and here we are. And now if I had, it should trigger the second. Exactly. I'm muting. It's this kind of snare, whatever you want to call it. So that said, I can start doing for each channel. So select this one, pitch, and this one again. I'm not gonna do everything, but it was the 4th one. So now if that actually was the 5th one. So now I can start adding and it worked. Here I have a low tom, for example. Let's see what. So once you set up everything, get your sound going is pretty easy. And this is the most basic part. You don't have to set up step, and I think it's pretty brilliant because you can say you have a melodic part you play. I mean, usually I have my Vermona. In this case, you can start playing with the rhythm, just rotating the pulse knob and selecting the track. But this is just the beginning, because for each track you have stuff you can do. So let me mute and show you what you can do. For example, we keep this, the hi-hat, let's push the volume a little. There's a delay, so let's use okay, no, there's a small delay, but who cares? So these are the triggers that are set up. You can change by rotating, but you can also add triggers if you want, but that's cheating because you want the machine to do that, everything. So that said, you can decide how many steps you have. For now it's 16, this could be 15. So this is start creating, you can create polyrhythm with that, because also you can change the division, the top row. To change things, you can double press and the menu will stay, or you just keep holding down. For example, now it's a 16 division, this is a 32 division, this is 8, and this one on the lower is in 3rd. Then you can select the velocity. Sustain in this case doesn't really matter. Pitch has to be that one. Then you have stuff like repeat. Let's change sound. Let's use this one and let's put like, oh, I have to select that. Let's use this one. What you hear, let's remove the delay Seems like there's a little delay. Let's reverb and delay. I don't know what is happening. There's some delay in the mixer here. Let's keep it. So right now you can add the repeats for each step. So for example, if I had 2 repeat, and you can also go to infinite repeats. The cool things of repeat also, you have the pace of the repeat. So as you see on the lower part of each knob, you have a secondary function, and you access that pressing Control. So here it is. This had a sort of, I don't know how to explain, but the pace of the repetition, it goes from slower to faster, or you can do the opposite way. It's pretty fun. Then you have all of this stuff, voicing range that works with pitches, so we don't touch them. You have accent and groove that actually works on how the groove and the accent work, of course, as you can hear. Timing is a sort of a swing. So let's add, now I'm adding swing to this. It's pretty nice. And that's kinda is about what you can do for setting up your pattern. The fun part starts when you use the randomization, because each control can be randomized, and when you turn on the T1, you have a 16-step random wave that is saved per step. You can reset that pressing random step and clear, and so it will create a new random wave. But what does it do? Let's use this as an example. Let me push some volume. Say this is our simple pulses we put. Say you want to add repeat, but you don't want it on every step, you want it random. So you press random, and then you press what you want to randomize, and you add some. The more you turn, the more the randomize will happen. So as you can hear now, ta-ta, ta-ta. This is the randomization part. If you don't like how this random part works, again, you can press random, repeats, and clear. And this creates a completely different randomization. This works pretty brilliantly with notes. Of course, basically randomization could work in this way, where the 16-step, this wave, is always repeating itself, so it's a sort of control randomization, but you can also press Control and random here rate and decide how much, if like every cycle it will be a new randomization or no. So that's your choice. So it can be a complete my aim of random triggers and note, or it can be per cycle, so you control it, and when you like it, you leave it like that. So what else can you do, and why I think it's a brilliant rhythm combo, this one? Once you set up a pattern like this one, first you can save it if you want, Control Save, and you save by bank, so it will save whatever it's in that bank. Before the pattern would stop, now with the new firmware, the pattern keep going. That's brilliant. So what I really like is that you have this temp button. The temp button basically is a sort of control all or like functional all that you can find in some Elektron machine. It's here and it's in their Digitac and Digitone. So basically, you can press temp and whatever, for example, modification you do. Now I had a lot of pulses on the kick, and now repeats and division and whatever. I do very weird thing, but when I depress, this is gonna go back to what it was. Even more fun if you press pattern, mean that every modification is applied to all of them track, and then temp. Now you can add a lot of stuff. You can change thing. Now it's random, and then when you depress, oh, it should have gone. I did some error here. I didn't press. I did press first temp and then pattern, and that I screwed up. Okay, let's redo it. Let's select bank and select the pattern. No, back one, pattern. So again, you do temp, pattern, and now you leave. You go back to where it was. It takes a little muscle memory to remember the combination, but it's again temp, pattern, and this of course add a fun layer of control, even with old machine, and it's super nice also to start change the like all the different tracks. And basically, that's it. What I really enjoy here is setting up my melodic part, and then once the machine drum kit is loaded, I only have to deal with this one that is pretty intuitive. And usually I always end up with 4 on the floor stuff with the oct track because it's easier. With this one, I know that I can rotate the button and things is gonna sound good. Yeah. And of course the fun part is also loading different kits and see how it sounds. My Alexa started. See, that's crazy. Anyway, I don't know why that happened. So now this machine is new, so I don't have any kit that I did and whatever. So let's just grab. And yeah, I think I explained everything. On the initial pad I had, let me load the initial pad. I have also this pad going on, like this dubby thing. I like to go and remove all the pulses. And then go back to the original pattern. So basically the performing part using temp and pattern is super fun. Of course, a great way to use the T1 would have, for example, setting the lower tracks or the upper tracks for rhythm. So you would have like 3, 6, 8 sound, and then the lower part could sequence any other things. Could be your different sequencer, since you can use it with Ableton because it is sync by Wi-Fi through link. So it's a kind of interesting bridge to get things together and to create patterns just rolling a knob. And I like, for example, in this it's the pace that is set up to change the repetition part and slow it down. So basically it's things that you could not do on the Machinedrum by itself, but this one had some new vibe and juice to something like this. All right, I think I showed enough. I showed how to set up the thing for this guy. For other Machinedrum, I know, for example, that some of them works by channel. I have the Nord drum that actually work pretty great with this one. In that case, the Nord drum has 6 different tracks, and each track has its own MIDI channel. So here you would select the track you want and select a different channel for each one. While this one has only channel 9 and the notes, that one will have the channel for each drum sound, and then you will have the chance to tune the pitch of the drum. So maybe I'll do a video with the Nord drum too, because with that one you can go a step further and play the notes, like play the drum and tuning them with a pitch. So that's an interesting combo too, even more complex if you want. Plus now this machine has a CC randomization, CC control for 16 tracks. It's fixed to a certain CC number, but still it's pretty fun to use. So that's for another video. By the way, this is the first YouTube video I did in my new studio, temporary studio in Tuscany. And see, in Tuscany there's new plants. Those are the classic Tuscanian plants coming from the desert here, Tuscanian desert. All right, that's it. I'll see you next week, and thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, and ciao.